Good morning, my Teaserking family. I've been trying to get on for like a half hour. I had problems with YouTube, had problems with my computer. It says I can't find your cameras in use. I'm like, I'm not using my camera. Anyway, finally here. Um, yeah, I don't know what it is with Fridays. I don't know if it's the right time to come on or what. Not a lot of chat live, just Nick, Bobby. I don't know where you are. Um, the purpose of the live feed is the communication back and forth. So I don't believe in leaving comments. Oh, you good show. Well, okay. It's fine to leave them, and then if it's a bad comment, then what am I going to do about it? And I really don't want negative in my life, so I kind of avoid that. Anyway, so everything's fine with me. Work's going well. My back's pretty good. My feet are fine. Chinese today. I'll go swim after. It's 12 o'clock and it's a cloudy day out there. I don't know how hot it is, but cloudy day. Anyway, so we left off yesterday. We did two different videos. We did one on Morley economics. Had a lot to do with Andrew Maguire. I thought it was very important. Brick stuff. I bought gold yesterday. I bought an ounce and a quarter. And basically, my guy's still getting it. But so what's happening is people are bringing him gold because they need money. And he gives them money. And then that's the gold he sells. But he sells it at spot. So I paid $5.38 for a quarter ounce, which I thought was cheap because I see him for about $600. And if he divides it by 4, if it's spots 1950, well, let's say 2000, then he would give him he'd give him 500. So it's 1950, 1960. So he's probably giving him 475. And then this, he's turned around selling it for $5.35, which is cheap, but that was a Canadian one. I'm not sure why the differentiation. To me, gold's gold. We're buying gold. That's why we're not buying graded. I showed you the Montana card, my Mantle card. And if you notice, they're not graded because they're much cheaper. But if you know how to grade, you reap the benefits. And then the Montana graded 10 or the Mantle graded 10 would be worth a whole lot more than not because it's much more limited. That's where we get it back into economics. So if something's very limited, it's worth a lot more than if it's not, especially if it's in perfect condition, because there's a lot of people chasing a few. So anytime you get a lot chasing a few, the price goes up. And that's what I keep telling you about gold and silver. You have a lot chasing a few, but you have somebody holding the price down. Well, that's about to end, as Andrew Maguire said yesterday. We can talk about that. I can bring that up, just a brief part of it. But basically, he's saying it should be $40,000 gold, but he kind of backs off because he doesn't. That's what it really should be, but he doesn't want it like get sued for saying 40,000 and then it doesn't hit there. And he goes, well, you said 40,000, which is so stupid because, it's like football. I don't guarantee the football games, but I do real well at them. So if I say Kansas City, Detroit over in week 1, I'm certainly trusting you understand that's my opinion. However, my opinion's right 80% of the time. And same thing with gold. I'm suggesting 50,000. It could be 100,000. It should get way up based on the factors I'm giving you. So I'm not like these other guys that don't know how to. They say something. Oh, demand's high, but they don't know what to do with it. So I take you to the next level. Anyway, we'll see if Bobby jumps on today. This is more my normal time. I don't know what to do with Friday. I need some feedback. Didn't have a lot of views. I went to get my gold, and I went swimming because it's close to the gold place. And then I came home, and I did the show like from 3 to 5, and then I did the one on sports later. We lost with Verlander. Hard to believe, but we did. And but I didn't get a lot of I didn't get a lot of chat. I didn't get, so just curious, maybe Friday's not a good day. Maybe I should do it Thursday night. I can do it Thursday night, just be 7 o'clock or so. Whatever. I'd rather do it Thursday night and get all the comments than do it Friday and get, no comments. I can just do a video, but I prefer the live. I hate when people do live and then they don't respond to the questions. Like that Liberty guy. He's such a bad guy, a bad interviewer. So they'll do a live show and then you'll pop a question and then they don't respond to it. They really don't know what they're doing. A good live show, you're doing it to answer the question, right? So when Bobby says, where do you think gold's going, or something about food, or or meat, or how do you cook this? That's the whole point, right? So then I can answer it. I just don't like when you get too far out in left field on me with inappropriate questions. That's not the point. It's keep it to economics and football and sports, and then we're fine. Or poker, even girls is fine to a point. But don't get how I help a girl out. I don't need comment on that. I'm being nice to do it. Just eating my avocado. I don't know what to do. I don't want to eat too much. Today's like a fast day, but I want to eat Chinese for dinner. So I always wonder if I just have an avocado, if that's like a fast day. All right. Let's do some sports first. So let's get baseball out of the way, per se. So we have a 105 game. It's 12-12, so it gives you an hour. We got San Diego Phillies. San Diego killed them yesterday. So that's the problem. That's why it's hard to guess because, Philly's good, and then they lose. And it's always tough the first game back after a week off because they got to get their timing down and everything else. It's a little tricky. We got Blake Snell, 6-7 with a good low ERA, 2.85 against Rangers. Suarez for Philly, 2-4 at the 3.77. Again, I'll play this game under 9 with two good ERA pitchers. See, it's hard with the record because they pitch 5 innings, 6 innings, and then they might, so Blake Snell at 6-7. If he's on Tampa, he's probably 15-1 with the low ERA. I mean, you can't control if you don't get hits and runs on your side, but you can shut the other team down. So let's go under San Diego, Philly, and we'll go from there. Tampa Bay, KC was rained out yesterday, I believe. So here comes probably a doubleheader today. So we got this starts at 2:10. So we got Glass now for Tampa, 2-3 with the 4-1-0 against Marsh for Kansas City, 0-2 with the 7. We're just going to take Tampa Bay, bet against KC. Boston against the Cubbies. We got Paxton, 5-1 with a 2.73 ERA against Marcus Stroman, 9-6 with a 2.96 ERA. We're gonna play this game under. We played it under yesterday. I don't remember the score, but let me check that out. But let's see. Let's go. I played it under because it wasn't in Fenway, and Boston, Chicago. Yeah, I went over 8-3. So it was Bello 314 and Hendricks 372. So you'd have thought maybe an under game, but didn't have it. Today we're going under again. It is at Wrigley, which can score runs, but I got 2 pitchers under 3, and they both definitely have pitched a lot. So we'll see. Arizona, Toronto, we got Zach Gallion, 11-3 with the 304 against Chris Bassett, 8-5 with a 419. It's a tough one to call. Toronto's a small favorite, over under 8.5. Let's try over here, very small, a 419. We do have a 304 with Zach Gallen. Actually, let's go with Arizona. They got a 304 pitcher. Toronto's got a 419. Yeah, let's go Arizona here. Cleveland and Texas, we got Williams 1-1 with a 401 for Cleveland. Heaney 5-6 with the 471 with Texas. Let's go over 8.5. Miami and Baltimore, we got Garrett 5-2 with the 370 for Miami. Kyle Gibson 9-6 with the 460 for Baltimore. Let's I don't know what to do with it. Baltimore is a small favorite. Let's go over 8.5. 49ers and the Steelers, good football game. We got Cobb 6-2 with the 291 against Ovidi, 3-10 with the 475. Let's go 49ers with Cobb 6-2 with the 291. Who's knocking on the door? All right, let's check Teaserking for 1 second. There we go. Yeah, he's just got to fix the. I'm making the 1 week 75 each and 100 for both, and he's got 100 and 100 and a quarter. So, you know, 1 week of mine, it's 75. All right, so that's my IT guy. He just does little stuff like, I mean, it's all set, but he like changes if I need a dollar amount changed. Like I went from 600 to 599 because the IRS wants to start 1099ing $600 and more. So it was 600. I made it 599. The only thing I have at over 600 is if you buy the whole year for only 750. Used to be 1100, but I'm over market. If we go to Say's Law there, that price was too high. I get a few, but you know, it's hard to spend that much, although you're going to win that much, but that's okay. So that would be the only thing. Anyway, multitasking here. All right, so San Diego, Philly. Didn't we already do that? Yeah. Okay. So game 2, Miami, Baltimore, also a doubleheader. Huh, interesting. Okay. So Cleveland at Texas, Williams and Haney, we went over 8.5. Miami, Baltimore, game 2, I believe. No, game 1. No, yeah, game 1. Garrett and Gibson. Garrett 5-2 with the 3.70. Gibson 9-6 with the 4.6. Didn't we do Miami and Baltimore? I'm losing my mind. Okay, so it's Gibson 5-2 with the 3.70. Garrett for Miami. Gibson 9-6 at the 4.60. So let's. I think we'll take Miami there. Okay, yeah, we did the Niners and the Steelers. Alex Cobb 6-2 at the 2.91. We're taking San Francisco there. San Diego, Philly. I believe that's game 2. Yes, it is. First game at 1. We got Weathers 1-5 with a 6.08 against Suarez, 2-4 at the 3.70. Let's go over 10.5. We got 2 weak pitchers, and probably the bullpen will have pitched in the first game because these guys only go 5-6 innings. So they're going to be a little stale. The hitters should be warmed up. So let's go over in game 2. Minnesota, Oakland, Lopez 5-5 with a 3.89. Hogan Harris 2-3 with the 6.07. We're going to take Minnesota there just because Oakland sucks. Milwaukee, Cincinnati, Peralta 5-7 with the 4.70 against Abbott for Cincy, 4-1 with the 2.38. Let's go Cincinnati there. Tampa Bay, KC. Griswold, didn't we already have a Tampa Bay KC? Yeah, that was rained out yesterday. Yeah, okay, so it's another doubleheader. They could at least say game 2 on it. Griswold 1-1 with the 5.14. Reagan's 2-3 with the 5. Let's go over in the game 2, 9.5. Really, I think game 2. I mean, if you watch game 1 and they go to their bullpens, which they tend to do, you would think the game 2 should be over because they're not. They're the best bullpen guys probably going in game 1. So let's go figure they'll have their second best bullpen guy. But the hitters should be warmed up. So let's take that. So let's go over Tampa KC game 2. The White Sox, Atlanta, Lance Lynn 5-8 with a 6.03 against Spencer Strider, 11-2, 3.40. Let's lock Atlanta. There's our lock today, Atlanta over the White Sox. That's tonight. The Dodgers and the Mets, we lost with Verlander yesterday. So that tells me if the Dodgers beat Verlander, they're going to beat this guy. So we've got Gonzolin 5-3 to 3.86 against Kandasenga, 7-5 with a 3.31 over under of 9. I'm going to take the Dodgers because their thought process is we just beat the best pitcher they have, Verlander. This guy will be a joke. So that's how I like. He's not bad, 3.31 ERA, 7-5. But I'm going to take the Dodgers. Washington and St. Louis, Jake Irvin for Washington, 2-5 with the 4.6. Steven Matz, 0-7 with the 4.65. Let's go over 9 in this one. The Yanks in Colorado, we got Clark Schmidt, 4-6 with the 4.40 against Connor Seabold, 1-6 with the 6.65. We got to go over 11.5 here in Colorado, and both pitchers suck. Houston and the Angels. Houston beat Ohtani yesterday. And again, I don't know why he's playing every day. It's the stupidest thing I've ever seen. If Babe Ruth couldn't do it, this guy can't. Framber Valdez, 7-6 with the 2.51 for Houston. Reed Detmers, 2-6 with the 4.31 for California. Let's go with Houston. Detroit at Seattle. Detroit won 5-4 yesterday. Lorenzen, 3-6 with the 4.03 against George Kirby, 8-7 with 3.09. Let's go under. They played a 9. Lorenzen gives up 4. Kirby's got a 3 ERA, so let's go under. And Washington against St. Louis, game 2, another game 2. Trevor Williams, 5-5 with a 4.45. McCullis, 5-5 with a 4. We're going over 9 in the second game. So that's what you get with a lot of that. Let's do some college football. Have some fun. I mean, this is mostly a football chat, but because of my background in economics, I do like to mix in when it's important, like inflation, deflation, bricks, gold, silver. I think that's important. So when I make you money in football and baseball, you then take it and you invest it properly. Or I don't even know if you call it. You're taking your money to make more money, and you're getting your money out of U.S. dollars into other things more valuable. So that's what we're doing. So let's look at college football. August 26th, we got Navy and Notre Dame. I don't know, is this game in Ireland too? -20, over under 48. I'm not adjusting every over-under right now. I will when we get closer, but it's still July, so we'll be chasing. So November, Notre Dame -20. They got Hartman, the new quarterback, versus Navy, but Navy runs the option. They do have a new coach in Newberry, who was at Navy, so he should have a good idea of what Navy does. Question is, Notre Dame plays Navy every year. They'll know how to defend them, and good luck stopping Hartman. I think Hartman is going to bring Notre Dame to a big high A level. I see them in the playoffs as long as Hartman stays healthy. So I think your 4-team playoff, not that, let's put it this way. Here's your top teams. Your first team's Georgia. Your second team is Michigan, Ohio State. So let's call them 2 and 3. Then I think it's Utah, and I think Utah, Washington in the Pac-10 are their top 2 teams. The Big 12, I think their teams are Kansas State and maybe Baylor over there. I don't. Oklahoma doesn't have a defense. Texas always chokes. I just don't see Manning's not. Well, Manning isn't even going to be the starter. Ewers will be, but they lost their running back, so that's going to hurt Texas. And neither of them really have the strong defense. The best defense in the Big 12 is Iowa State, but they don't have the offense, although the quarterback's returning. And so you leave the best team as Kansas State. TCU could, and they didn't surprise last year. And the thing with TCU is their quarterback, Duggan, was not the starter. The starter gets hurt in game 1, and Duggan takes over, and Duggan plays well, but he got beaten out. This is their starting quarterback from last year starting this year. So I don't think TCU drops much. So I think TCU is going to be in the mix with Kansas State. Kansas, good offense, but they just don't have the defense. And like Iowa State, good defense and no offense. So you could get a TCU or Kansas State in the playoff. Hard because, they don't draw enough because it's only 4 stupid teams. Then you've got Notre Dame as the independent. I don't see anybody from the ACC. Clemson's just losing too much. They don't have a quarterback. Got a good running back. The defense, I don't know. It disappeared last year. So I don't think ACC. Pitt, Miami could surprise with Van Dyke running an air raid offense. They're going to be awfully explosive. And the question is, how good's their defense? So we'll see. Miami could surprise. Florida State could be there also. That's a big game, LSU, Florida State for the playoff. However, if LSU wins, they got to beat Alabama and Georgia to get to the playoff, unfortunately, and they're not going to do that. Alabama's going to have a down year. They don't have a quarterback. So let's go around. Who else? Here's my A teams from last year. Notre Dame, UCF, Utah, Michigan, Fresno State, TCU, Ohio State, Boise, Texas. Texas was an A, I think. Baylor was a B. So was Washington State, Alabama, Penn State, South Alabama, and Tulane, and LSU, Florida State, Oregon State, Clemson, and Duke. So let's say if Duke beats Clemson the first week and then runs the table, they're a playoff team. Got a good quarterback and a good defense. LSU, Florida State, the winner. Florida State probably wins the ACC. Them or Miami, and then you've got LSU. Again, I think they can beat Alabama because Alabama does not have a quarterback this year, but they can't beat Georgia. Not with this quarterback. So, and let's see how Georgia's quarterback does. But Georgia's loaded everywhere. Georgia will be under. And then we look at the Z teams: UMass, Hawaii, Florida International, Stanford, Colorado, BC, Boston College, Akron, UMass again, Nevada, Colorado State. That's it. So why do I mention Z teams? What are Z teams? They're weak offense, weak defense. They're just bad teams. And that's what we really want to bet against. So in week 1, we've got New Mexico State, 8.5 over UMass. New Mexico State's a much better team than they've been. They're not a Z team anymore. They're a B team. UMass stinks. They're a Z team, and I don't see them getting much better because if you're any good, why would you go to UMass? And if you're any good, and let's say you're at Iowa, why would you transfer to UMass? So UMass doesn't have good players. New Mexico State's got a really good quarterback. They got a really good coach in Kill, who's in the Big Ten. So I'm looking for New Mexico State big. They're 8.5, 44 week 1. So what are we doing? We're using observation to see what wins. Why did this team win? Why did that team win? That's what we're looking for. And so we're looking for the most important is usually the defense and the quarterback. That's the most important. It's my IT guy. My IT guy. Okay, I'll fix that. And then we'll be all set, but you can buy now. I'm supposed to have a buyer today. We've agreed on it. He purchased the full year and he makes 3 payments, July, August, September, and then that pays the full year. So I don't have a problem with that. If you can't handle the $750, especially in times like this, then that's fine. The weeklies, just pay the week. The monthly is such a good price. I mean, the weekly is $75. For the 4 weeks, your monthly is only $200, $300 if you want them both. So really, that I expect full payment on. But if you want the year, it's $600 and $750 for total. So if you want the total, you can easily break it into 3 payments or 2 payments if you like. Some of you guys do that. Some just pay the full amount. So, I don't know what your bankrolls are. So I don't know if I'm dealing with the guy who bets $5,000 a game. I expect him to pay it. But if it's smaller bettors, I don't know why I don't have the bigger bettors. They're insane not to come to me. But I don't know that I'm getting the proper exposure. But anyway, they'll find me eventually. Anyway, so what do? We do a lot of art of war, which is take your strength, go against the weak. So you find strengths and weaknesses of the teams. So the defense is probably the biggest strength: Georgia, Iowa State, Iowa, Washington State, Illinois, even Alabama. And then we look for weakness. So when we're playing a Z team, we know they don't have an offense. They probably don't have a quarterback, and they don't have a defense. So if I have a good offense and a fairly good defense, I'm more or less looking when I play a Z team, I want a good quarterback, like Van Dyke in Miami, Rising at Utah. They play the Z team, like Miami, BC, Boston College is the Z team in the ACC. So if Miami were to play them or Florida State, I'm expecting a blowout. So then it comes down to the line. And if Vegas fucks up the line, which they do a lot, I really hate, I think it's one of my pet peeves is Vegas knows how to hit the line. And I can show you 1,000 examples when they haven't even been close to the line. Over under a 50, it's a 100-point game. -10 and they win by 40. I mean, you can't, there's no way you can accurately put the line down. It's mostly averages. It's like baseball, right? The ERAs, and we're looking at the ERAs. But in baseball, that's what we're looking at. So that's what we're looking at in football. So that's why I'm ranking the teams A and Z, and it's all by the stats. So if I see Georgia gives up 10 points a game and they score 35-40, they're an A team because they can score and they play great defense. It's the USCs who score 40 and give up 30. Then they're an O. They don't have the defense, and I don't trust them as much in a big game. They lost both the Utah games because their defense wasn't there. They beat UCLA barely, and they got lucky. They got an interception, and I think they lost to Oregon or Washington. But they were able to beat Washington State because they don't have a good quarterback, but they struggled with them. I think they won 29-16 because they are a good defensive team, Washington State. Do I still want locks at 75 is the question, and I do. I think because you get more than some weeks you might get 5 or 6 locks. You tend to get at least 4 lock games in college, and usually I can find 1 in the pros. So usually you're getting 3, maybe 4 bets, and then you could go ahead with the locks. So if I give you, let's say I lock New Mexico State, UCF, TCU, and Illinois, and I put 2 in one lock, 2 in the other lock, and then I lock Kansas City and San Francisco week 1. Well, you can theoretically put a 6-team teaser, or you can mix them up. So you can take New Mexico and put them with Kansas City and New Mexico. So you can play. That's how you play teasers when you find a lock. I always play them in multiple teasers. I'm not giving it 1. I'm giving it, KC, I love over the Lions. I'm going to play them here and I'm going to play them there. That's how you win teasers. That's what I've observed, and that's what I've figured out. Anyway, so we're all set with the computer guy. Let's see what he's got. So I go into Teaserking, and I'm on purchase picks, and there it is. So pro picks for 1 week, which includes the lock, 75, college 75. If you just want the lock, 75. If you just want the pro picks, you would get the pro locks, but you wouldn't get the college locks. That's really the only thing. Then if you want both, pro and the college, which includes any locks that week, that would be $100. So that's kind of how I've come to market with my things, and hopefully Adam Smith can concur with that. I get a lot of full years because it's so cheap. 750 divided by 20 some weeks, it's like $40 a week. And I get a lot of monthlies because, again, that's $300 for 4 weeks. So you're at $75 a week there. So it makes it, that's for everything versus the 100. So it's like 100 off. But those are the biggest sellers. I get some weeklies, but most people who buy from me come back, like a Nick and like other people. And so they don't fuck around. They go, well, this is great savings. This is the best value. And we produced about 80% last year. So normally like 75% in my picks. And then again, because I pick teams in multiple teasers, it's really hard to ascertain. Like, so if I hit KC in 2 teasers, it only counts as one winner, even though I won 2 teasers with it. So that's where the percentages get a little bit difficult. But that's what I'm looking for. Art or war, I'm looking for strength. Strength against strength, like LSU, Florida State, I tend to take the dog and just give me the points. Strength against weakness, so I'm looking for like New Mexico State's a B team, Massachusetts is a Z team. I'm betting against the Z team, and I have a good quarterback on New Mexico State. They should score points. Mass is a Z. They don't score a lot, so I should be able to get 30 with New Mexico State, and UMass maybe gets 10, and I'm only laying 2.5. That's what I'm looking for is a Z team with a weak line. That's a terrible line. My line would have been like 17 there because New Mexico State can score, and UMass is terrible. So, and it's at New Mexico State. So I really, that's the game I'm really looking at to go, yeah, that's where I need to be. Anyway, so New Mexico State. So that's the object is looking. Then it's, do I lock it? And then how many teasers do I put in? So my locks are always bet more than the regular play. So the regular play, let's say I bet $100. The lock, if I really like it, and they'll get stronger as the year goes on because I'll have more confidence the team's real. Or maybe there's injuries. So right now, I think New Mexico State, the quarterback's healthy. Okay, fine. He gets hurt in week 5, then I got to be careful with it. So right now, I'm like, okay, but it's the first week. So I'm kind of, you're a little more tentative week 1. And then, again, you're trying to build the bankroll. So here I'm looking at weakness, Massachusetts. I got a strong quarterback who should score me points. So I got New Mexico State. And what separates me from all the others is I can analyze and I can see the quarterback. New Mexico State was really good last year, and they were scoring 50 points a game. Even though some of them were Division II, it didn't matter. They were still scoring a lot, right? So, because there's some that look at North Dakota State, they beat Iowa. They're not a bad team. So that's what I'm looking for. But as I get more comfortable with the teams, like Penn State, I don't know what I'm expecting this year. I'm pretty much know what I'm expecting from LSU, Florida State. Clemson, I don't know because their quarterback sucked Ugly Boogly went to Oregon State. That's another place. I don't know what I'm expecting from Ugly Boogly. He sucked. Now, maybe they change their offense and he'll be better, but he can't throw. But they have a good defense. Is Washington State's defense still good? So it takes me a few weeks to really zero in. Is Kansas still going to be 45 points a game? I think they will. The quarterback's back. The coach is back. So therefore, that's my over team. TCU's an over team. Tennessee. I got scared. I heard the coach had problems, but it wasn't this coach. It was the last coach. So who cares? So as long as Heupel's there, he's the good offensive coach. That's why they scored 100 points. So that's what I'm looking for. That's how I identify my picks. And then it's me having knowledge of what the spread should be. from doing this since 1969. I don't remember if I bet on the Ice Bowl or not. I think I kind of remember watching it. I don't even remember that. I was, 1967, so I was 8 years old. So I think I remember watching the game to a point and knowing it's cold and the Packers won, but I don't think I bet it. I did bet Kansas City, Minnesota Super Bowl. I think that was my first starting bet. I know I bet the Miami Dallas Super Bowl. I know I bet that. I remember betting that one, but I don't remember. But I did bet probably in 69. I was betting the games weekly. I was betting quarters with guys in school. But in 1968, that was a lot of money. I remember the first one, I hit like 13 winners, and the guy's like, I ain't bet with you anymore. I couldn't believe it. But you know what's funny is when I do that, especially with bookies, they're too stupid to jump on it. They don't believe. This is the problem I have in a lot of areas, right? They don't believe you. When I tell you to buy gold, they don't believe you. No, I'm going to buy dollar. Well, bricks and inflation. They don't know what inflation is. They don't understand bricks. I'm telling them to buy gold because the inflation is going to zero out the dollar, and you're going to need assets. And people can't no, I got oil stocks, or I don't, oh my God, I wouldn't want gold. See, they don't understand it, but they think they know, and then they won't listen to me. And that's really what happens. And it's the same thing. Football, I can prove myself a lot more. The game's played, I pick a winner, and New Mexico State wins 37-3. Okay, I told you they won. Okay, yeah, that's probably okay. He knows what he's talking about. A lot of people know what I'm talking about the way I explain it. Football's different. They understand that. Gold, people just don't get money. They're never really taught it, and it's not something you can really watch, so they don't get that. But that's really the key to, the key to everything. It's just strength and weakness, observing what's going on. So when I pick football, I'm looking for really the best defense first and then the best quarterback. But like USC, they got a good offense, good quarterback. The coach is an offensive mind, but they don't have a defense. So you take USC, you can very rarely take them to win. Look at Utah, beat them twice last year in 85-point games. So there's going to be a lot of points scored, and they can't stop anybody. That's what you take out of USC. You don't go, oh, they're going to win all their games. They don't have a defense. That's the biggest thing you must understand is they need the defense. That's why you bet Georgia. Michigan's got a better defense now. Michigan's went back to Bo. I think I'm watching Bo. He runs the guy 50 times a game, and then they play this strong defense. The quarterback throws 10 passes a game, and now they're running it down Ohio State's throat like they used to. So I don't know why Harbaugh ever got away from that, but he was smart enough to go back to it. So they're basically playing both football. I'm waiting for Ohio State to go back to Woody because they can't win with no defense, and that's basically what Ohio State. They don't have the defense anymore, so they're in trouble. You cannot win without defense. Look at Georgia. They walked down the field, scored the late touchdown. Ohio State missed the field goal, and Georgia won the game. Ohio State played with them really tight, but they gave up 43 points to Stetson Bennett, who nobody thinks is any good, but he put up 43 points on Ohio State in the championship game. Then he put up 90 on TCU. So, that's what I look at. All right. So let's walk down this. So we've got Ohio, an over team, good quarterback in Rourke against San Diego State, who's normally an under team. They play low scoring games, over under 50. So we got Rourke against, I think Malkin is the quarterback at San Diego State. I mark week one if they're new or if they're returning. And if they're returning, I put the name in. Now, the other thing I want to talk about is all this transfer portal crap. just because you get a lot of transfers in does not mean the team's going to be good or bad. Like Colorado, they got all these transfer kids in. They got to learn how to play with each other. They got to learn the coach. They got to learn the system. So it's not easy. That's why, that's why I'm high on the Jets. Aaron Rodgers does not have to learn the Jet system because they're bringing in Hackett, who was the coach at the offensive coordinator at Green Bay. So he's going to be running Green Bay's offense with 2 or 3 Green Bay receivers and a killer defense, much better than the Packers ever had. That's why I'm high on the biggest reason I'm high on the Jets is the defense. I'm high on Denver because of Sean Payton. I'm high on Cincinnati because of Joe Burrow, and I'm high on Kansas City because of Mahomes. I'm not high on San Diego because their coach still sucks and their defense still sucks because they didn't bring in a good defensive coordinator and the coach sucks. So San Diego, with all that talent, should never have lost to Jacksonville. That's absolutely – the coach should have been fired. If that doesn't get your coach fired, I don't know what does. But that's what you're looking – that's – how do you blow a 27-0 lead? You picked off Lawrence 4 times. You go to the second half, you change your defense up. The guy couldn't complete a pass. Just blitz him. All you got to do is blitz Lawrence, and he's worthless. So I don't know what San Diego did in the second half, but it was not what they did in the first half. And why would you change with the 27-0 lead? They played not to lose, so of course you lose. Why is the coach still there? So I'm not a San Diego fan. Denver, yeah, strong defense, Sean Payton, Russell Wilson. The Jets, you got Rodgers in that defense. Cincinnati, you got Burrow and a fairly good defense. Pitt and Baltimore have the defense with no quarterback and no offense. The whole South has nothing. Jacksonville, Lawrence stinks. The defense stinks. Again, they let up 27 to San Diego. And then you got in Kansas City, which doesn't have a great defense, but they got Mahomes. So that's the kicker there. So Burrow has a better team than Mahomes. He's just as good, except for, no offense, Bobby, he's just as good as Mahomes with a much better defense and a much better running attack. And Jamar Chase, and he's got Kelsey. So Kansas City's going to be down a little because they won the Super Bowl, and it's very hard to get back up. You know, they lost to Cincinnati the year before. They came out and they go back to the Super Bowl and win. Now it's Cincinnati's turn. They're pissed off that they lost to Kansas City. So I don't see Kansas City repeating, although Cincinnati should have repeated without that stupid penalty. But now you got Aaron Rodgers and the defense of the Jets and a good coach. Look out for them. And, Buffalo, I don't know, is Von Miller playing? Is the safety playing? I don't know. They don't have a running attack, which really hurts. You can't – if you keep running Josh Allen, he will get injured, and he's not that accurate. And if you blitz him, he can't quarterback when he's blitzed. So that's what you got to watch out there. So anyway, so those are what I'm looking at. And then the other, it's Frisco, Philly, and Seattle. So we'll get into that later, but let's go back to college. So then we got, I don't know, you got an over team against an under team. Normally defense will handle it. So normally San Diego State's defense should handle Ohio's offense. So it should be a lower scoring game. The over-under is 50, which is high for San Diego State, especially against Ohio. It's not Ohio State. So I like the game under, I think. San Diego State won't score and has a good defense. Hawaii and Vanderbilt, over under a 56. Vandy's 17.5. Vandy, neither team has a defense, but Hawaii doesn't score. However, it's the second year of the coach and the quarterback, so you think they will get it. And that takes me back to the portal. So the first year, you've got a new coach for Hawaii and a new quarterback, and they suck. They should be better this year because they got continuity and they know what each other wants. And that's my point. When you have that, that's what you get. But that's all these kids coming on the transfer portal. They got to play together. They got to learn the coaches. I don't see them. Colorado might be good next year, but I don't see them being that good this year. So it's when you get a lot of transfers, that's a problem because you're recruiting players now, unless you get a new coach. But even if a new coach comes in, you can't just say, well, I don't want any of you. You ever get a new boss at work? I mean, you that's it. You know, they don't let you go. You just got to work with the boss. But that's what you got here. You just got to work with them. San Jose State, USC. USC minus 30. We know they score a lot and don't have a defense. San Jose State has a good quarterback. They score a lot. They had a good defense last year. Apparently, a lot of them graduated. So I don't think their defense will be as strong. And that's what you see is an over-under of 63 in this game. I'll guarantee you USC puts up 50, and I guarantee San Jose State puts up 30. So if you add up, that's 80, and we need 63, and we tease it down to 57. That, I think, is the strong play. At first, I was worried about San Jose State's defense, but USC won't have a problem. It's not as strong, but I do like the quarterback is Cordero for San Jose State. It's a really good one, so I do look for them to be able to put 20 points up on USC, who doesn't really have that strong of a defense. You know, it might have got a little better, but they're not. But their whole system is not. The guy was never had a good defense at Oklahoma. Whenever you run fast break offense and you pass, and you score in 5 plays, you're not resting your defense. So by the middle of the third quarter, your defense is gone. I mean, they're just too tired, and that's why teams like Oklahoma with this guy in SC will never win. Because then you got Georgia running the ball down your throat, and with this great rested defense that's too deep, you're not going to score on that. Georgia can shut down USC, but USC can never shut down Georgia. So that's why the defense is important, and you need a running game to rest the defense. That's the critical part. If you score in 5 plays, look at Dan Fouts, look at Dan Marino. They just threw, and then their defense didn't show up. But look at Joe Montana, ran the ball more, shorter passes. He made it a bigger drive because he knew he had to rest his defense. So that's why Dan Fouts and Dan Marino never won. They didn't rest their defense. The big play is cute, but for the whole team, it's terrible because you need to run and you need to rest your players. Florida International, LTAC. LTAC's an over team with the Boise quarterback Backenmeyer transferred there. Florida International is a Z team, so they don't score. They have no defense. So I look at LTAC here, even with Backenmeyer, who wasn't that good at Boise, but Florida International, it's so bad defensively. But they won't be able to, with the Z team, they don't really have an offense, won't be able to take advantage of Louisiana Tech's terrible defense. So if I'm betting against LTech, I want a good quarterback. I would take New Mexico State over LTech. They got a good quarterback. USC would kill them. But in this case, Florida International doesn't have a quarterback. He's returning, but he's not any good. So that's where I would take LTAC here. Now, do I play the game over or do I take LTAC? Well, look at the spread. It's only 10. All I got to do is lay 4. LTAC's at home. Florida International stinks. I'm not aware that they got, Joe Namath or anything out of the weeds, and they have no defense. So of the two, LTAC should be able to score more, and it's at home. So I look at LTAC here. I don't want to over because I don't think Florida International can score enough. So I can see LTAC winning 35-7, but it doesn't get you to the 60 you need, or in our case, 54. I can't get the 54, but I know LTAC's going to put up a lot, 35-7. So lay the 4. So that's how you do it. If the other team has a strong offense, like in USC, San Jose State. San Jose State's got a really good quarterback, and he should light them up. USC, we know, and they have the whole system. They're going to light them up. So the question is, do we get points from both teams? In the USC game, we do, but in the LTech game, Florida National is not going to help us. So then we can't go over when we got a weak team. So then we bet against a weak team. Kent State and UCF. Kent State with a new quarterback and it looks like a new coach, Burns. UCF was an A team last year. They got Plumlee, the quarterback from Ole Miss who ran all over Georgia about 2-3 years ago. Still there. Kent State with a new quarterback. The quarterback went to UCLA, and I think a running back went to UCLA. So UCLA is raiding Kent State. And they get a new, well, probably because they got a new coach. So with that said, UCF's laying 35. They're an A team, so their defense is pretty good. Kent State, again, it's an over team last year. Did the defense get any better? Probably not, but their offense probably isn't as strong because the quarterback's gone. So they got a new quarterback. Is he going to just jump in the system? And they got a new coach. So this is the team you wait and see. Like, well, what's the new coach bringing to the table? Are they going to be an explosive team? Are they going to be a run team, defense? Every coach does one thing. They either are an offensive coach or a defensive coach, depending on who they are. Some defensive coaches you can't figure out, like the Clemson coach went to Oklahoma. They got this great offense and they have a shitty defense. And the Georgia defensive coordinator went to Oregon, has a great offense and no defense. So you're like, so the defense takes a few years. So I would think Oregon would have a better defense if they go to the Georgia defense. And Oklahoma should be better with the Clemson defensive coordinator as their head coach. They got Gabriel from UCF to quarterback, so they're explosive, but are they too much throwing and not enough running and not resting their defense? So we'll see more, although I'm circling the Oklahoma-Texas game. As long as Gabriel's healthy, I'm betting Oklahoma because they got killed. It was like 50-0 last year. So I look for Oklahoma, get a little revenge. That's the type of game you want to bet, the revenge game. And by the way, 1968, what? The Jets beat Baltimore, right? In the Super Bowl. I think 2 years later, they played in like week 10, and Baltimore beat them like 35-0. The ultimate revenge game. You cost us the Super Bowl. I don't even know if Namath was playing in the game, and Baltimore just killed them. So that was a sweet revenge game. So revenge games do work. So Oklahoma, I'm waiting for. NC State and UConn. NC State, a strong defensive team. Not much the quarterback transferred. Connecticut was getting a little bit better, a W team. So they score early 20s, and their defense is kind of upper 20s, low 30s. But NC State doesn't have the offense to take advantage of this weak defense. So I can't lay the 16. I think it's an under of 54. So NC State over under 54, go under 60 because they got a really good defense. So UConn's not going to score. NC State can't light them up because they don't have a good enough offense, and they got a new quarterback. So look for that to be, 23-3 or something like that. It should be very low scoring. And again, the strength is NC State's defense. They always have a good defense. And Connecticut's just their offense won't be enough to do it unless there's a lot of turnovers. So how do we lose? We've got the game picked. Here come the pick sixes, a block punt. Those we can't really control. So that's usually how I lose. Oh, my quarterback threw 5 interceptions, and there was 2 picks. That's how I lost, like the Iowa game. I have Iowa under like 6-7 times last year. I win them all but one. The one I lost, the other team threw 2 or 3 pick sixes. So we had it pegged. Wisconsin's offense didn't do anything. Their defense was tough, but the other team had bad coaching, and he's throwing pick sixes all over the place. Sometimes you just need to be patient. But most of the time you're going to win with it. That's why it's not 100%. That's why there's a percentage. But once you got the method down, then you bet it 10 times, you win it 8. And that's really what we do, what I do. Florida and Utah, game of the week, revenge game. Florida beat them in Utah on the last play. My man Rising threw an interception in the end zone, and they were losing by 2. I actually won the game, getting 2.5 or 3. I think I was getting 2.5, and they lost by 2. But here we've got, all right, Florida has a new quarterback, Graham Mertz from Wisconsin. Imagine getting a Wisconsin quarterback. What are you thinking? They suck, or it's just the worst offense ever assembled. But Graham Mertz is not going to touch Utah. And Utah with Rising, look out. He's the best quarterback. They're laying 9. Take it to 3. Utah in a revenge game. They get him in the mountains, not in the swamp, and that's a huge difference. So Florida won probably because of the heat. It was an early September game, so it was hot in Florida. Here we get them in the mountains. So look for Florida to run out of steam because it's the first week and it's thin air that Utah's used to and Florida isn't. So I look at Utah about the third quarter to be up by 20. So look for Utah here, and it's revenge. And Rising looks healthy. Florida doesn't have a quarterback, and they didn't have one last year. So look for Utah big here. Nebraska, Minnesota, mini lane 7.5, over under 46. They get the new coach in Matt Rule. He was good at Temple. He was okay at Baylor. I don't know what happened to him in the pros. See, a lot of times in the pros, he's stuck with Sam Darnold as quarterback or whoever, and the quarterback he had in college was better than the quarterback he had in the pros. And that's the problem. You're kind of stuck with the players you have in the pros. College, you just recruit and you get your guy. Yeah, I like that quarterback. I'm recruiting him. I like the running back, the receivers, the defense. So you can kind of make your team. And that's what Nick Saban did when he left, Miami. He wanted Drew Brees. He didn't get Drew Brees, so he quit like a little baby. Oh, I didn't get Drew Brees. I can't coach this guy. I had better quarterbacks at LSU. And so he quit because he didn't get Drew Brees. And then it made Sean Payton the superstar because he got Drew Brees. So the quarterback definitely makes a big difference. But they get better ones in college. So anyway, Nebraska doesn't have a good quarterback, but he can recruit one. Minnesota lost their quarterback, lost their running back, and now they have new quarterbacks. So this is new, and it's got to take a few weeks for these new quarterbacks. You can practice all you want, but in the game, it's totally different speed. Minnesota's laying 7.5, over under a 46. Minnesota had a very strong defense last year. Nebraska, neither team will score a lot because of the new quarterbacks. Nebraska has a weak defense, but Minnesota is going to mainly run the ball and then play defense. So I look for this game to be very low scoring, especially with Matt Rule. He's not an offensive coach. They certainly don't have the offense to light it up, and not against Minnesota with this tough defense. So you can play mini minus 1.5. I like the under 52.5. I don't see points. Minnesota had they gave up like 12 points a game last year, and I don't see that changing. And I think the coach will keep running the ball and playing it safe and playing strong defense. So I don't think, this game maybe gets 20-10 or something like that. And we got 46. Miami against Miami. Only in college football can Miami of Ohio play Miami of Florida. Miami of Ohio is an under team. Decent defense, no quarterback. Blaine Gabbert's brother or whatever. Yeah, the quarterback who sucks in the NFL, his brother is on Miami of Ohio. We got Van Dyke for Miami, a great quarterback, and they're running the air raid. So they ran it too much. They took the ball out of Van Dyke's hands, which is a huge mistake. From the prior year, you could see he was a great quarterback. So now they're going back to the air raid to help take advantage of his skill set. Look for Miami here, pretty big. Miami of Ohio has a good defense. They're not going to stop Van Dyke, but Miami of Ohio doesn't have an offense. And I look for Miami of Florida's defense to step up. And I just think Van Dyke will have a field day, put up 40-some points, 40-10 or something like that. So over under 51, they could get there. Miami of Florida doesn't have that great of a defense, but I definitely like Miami of Florida in this game, minus the 11. Central Michigan, Michigan State. Michigan State 14.5, 52. What do we got? We got a new quarterback for CMU, but he's weak, probably a freshman. We got Thorne for Michigan State, but he lost his receiver buddy who got drafted. So both teams suck on defense. Central Michigan's usually explosive. So even the new quarterback, they have a good coach who's a good offensive coach. Michigan State, their coach sucks. They don't have a defense, so I think Central can put up 20 on them, and I think State can put up, with Thorne, another 20. So they'll be in the 40s. We need 53. We need 47. I think they'll be able to get there. That's conservative. They'll both be in the 20s. They probably easily can both be in the 30s. So I like this game over just because I like CMU's coach as an offensive coach, and Thorne, it's a good quarterback, but neither team has a defense. So the skill set on offense for both teams should be enough to get some good points. Louisville and Georgia Tech, new coach Brom goes to Louisville. His brother or his son, I don't know which one it is, was the offensive coordinator. They always light it up. They have a very good offensive system against Key from Georgia Tech, who's that. Both teams have new quarterbacks. I think Braun can work with a new quarterback and light it up better than Key, who was a Georgia Tech guy. Georgia Tech had no defense last year. They were a W team, so weak offense, no defense. Louisville with a good offense should have a good offense this year. They're only laying 8. I like Louisville -2 in this game. Georgia Tech doesn't have the offense or the defense to really stop Louisville, but I don't think Georgia Tech can hurt Louisville with their offense. So I like Louisville only laying the 2. Stanford, Hawaii. Both teams are Z teams. Stanford laying 9.5. Stanford's got a new quarterback, and Hawaii has the returning Shager back. They will have already played Vanderbilt. So let's look at the Vanderbilt game. However, this game is in Hawaii. They're getting 9.5. I like Hawaii here, I believe, pending injury in the first week. Stanford doesn't score. They're a Z team. They're laying 9. Yeah, they're a Pac-10 Z team versus Hawaii, but Hawaii plays better at home. And when you got to travel to Hawaii, it's a long flight anyway. So it definitely hurts you. Stanford's in California, so it won't, they won't be in awe, but like if Michigan goes to Hawaii, they're all like on vacation. So that's what you look at. So I think Hawaii in 15.5 can be competitive, could even win the game. Stanford just has no offense. I don't know where they're going to score at all and enough to cover 15. I don't see them winning the game by more than 15. Army and Lou Monroe. We always love the Army. Great coach. Good. They always have good quarterback, good sound defense, good running. They go on 4th and 1 and really just kill you. They just demoralize you with these 12, 13-minute drives. Oh, it's 4th and 1. We're going for it. And they get it. They got usually good fullbacks. Lou Monroe stinks. I mean, they're a W team with an over defense. This is like the New Mexico State game. I think Army kills Lou Monroe. Lou Monroe is not good. And Army's the type of team that can travel because A, they're Army, so they're tough guys, and B, the offense and defense they run, they can play anywhere. They can play on the moon, and it's power running, which is the most effective, not all the passing bullshit. and then they have a really good defense. So Lou Monroe shouldn't be able to do much. The only way Army doesn't win is turnovers. So we just hope but they don't usually turn it over too much. Tennessee, Virginia, Tennessee minus 28, over under 58. Milton, the Michigan quarterback, should be the quarterback. And I don't know. This is one you got to – so they both have new quarterbacks, although Milton quarterbacked the bowl game from Michigan, and he looked pretty good. Again, you got Josh Heupel, who's a good offensive coach. They'll put up a lot of points. The question is, Virginia has a fairly decent defense and no offense. Their quarterback's gone, so it's a big number for Tennessee, 28 down to 22. At Virginia, Virginia's still an ACC team. It's not a Z team. They're not playing Bowling Green. They're playing Virginia, so it's a tough one to lay the 28. How good's the Virginia defense and how good's the new quarterback? So we'll see. But Tennessee, they could kill them, but I'm going to stay away from this one. Liberty, Bowling Green. I'm just going to do a few more games because there's so many college, but this is through 9-2, so I'll probably just let me finish this one. So we got Liberty minus 11 against Bowling Green. Liberty has a new quarterback, Bennett, and then they have the coach from Coastal Carolina who coached McCall, who runs a very fast break offense, very good offensive coach, as you could see from Coastal Carolina. They're laying 11. Bowling Green's a W team, terrible defense, not much offense, new quarterback. Liberty's more of an even team, score 25, give up 25. So their defense is okay. But I look for their offense to be much better with the new coach from Coastal Carolina. So now you brought in an offensive coach like Josh Heupel at Tennessee, Sonny Dykes at TCU. All of a sudden, these teams score 50 points a game because the coach puts in a good offense that they can run, and you can't stop it. So that's what I see with Tennessee. That's what I think I see here with Liberty. I think we have Coastal Carolina. Yeah, they're playing UCLA. Let's see what they're ranked at. Come on, where are you? Okay. They were an over team last year, so they scored a lot and they gave up a lot. So that's the team you're getting with Liberty, a high-scoring team without much defense. And they're playing Bowling Green, who sucks. So this is a very good – it's a cheap line because Vegas doesn't know. They can't adjust for the coach like we can. We know this coach is going to put you in the 40s. And they got a quarterback returning one. And here he's got all this time to put in the system. And they're playing a weak Bowling Green team, not Alabama week one. So it makes a big difference, right? If you're playing Alabama, Georgia. Kent State last year killed them. I won with them, but it was like they go to Washington and they played competitive. They played Georgia and played them like they lost by 32-22 or something like that. How they put up 20 points on Georgia, I don't know. And then they played another tough team, Oklahoma or something. It was like, what the fuck is Kansas State or Kent State doing? And they had a really hard schedule. So, I mean, you don't want to start at Washington at Georgia. But so they're not. Liberty's at Bowling Green. So it's a huge difference to get comfortable. We'll do two more games. L-Tech against SMU. L-Tech we've talked about. Over team. They got the Boise quarterback. So we will see what they do to Florida International. I'm expecting like 50-0, 50-10 against Florida International, 50-20. They don't have much defense against Florida International, but now they're going to be on the road at SMU. So if L-Tech scores 50, we're betting this game over because we know SMU is going to score. They got a new quarterback, Stone, who's supposed to be very good. I believe it's a quarterback and not the coach. Yeah, I think they got Stone. Anybody with the name of Stone's got to be a good football player, right? So L-Tech over team with the Boise quarterback, who wasn't that good at Boise, but he must be decent. And SMU, we know what they do. They score 60 points a game and give up 60 points a game. They're an over. So this is an over with the Boise quarterback, provided they put up like 40 on Florida International, which is what they should. This game will definitely be an 80, 90-point game. And it's 58 down to 52. Here's where we're catching Vegas by surprise. SMU will be fine. They have the same coach. They score. That's what they do. And here you got LTech, who's going to be a much more explosive team with a good quarterback from Boise. So look for that to happen. And we'll end it with East Carr and Michigan. Michigan 35-55. Michigan is an A team. Strong running, strong defense. JJ Edwards or whatever their quarterback is, not very good. He's kind of a running quarterback. Can't really throw. Can't hit the brass out of a barn. East Carolina, now they have a new quarterback. Unfortunately, I liked Ehlers. I can't believe he didn't get drafted. He was good. And they're an over team. So Michigan should be able to score a lot of points on them. East Carr with the new quarterback against this defense. Look for Michigan to just run it down their throat, get in the red zone, run it in. And East Carolina won't be able to answer. So Michigan probably lay the 35. This is a game where Michigan blows you out at home. Against a weak team, they tend to pile it on with the 100,000. Over under 55. It's hard to play overs with a good defensive team like a Michigan, like a Georgia, like an Iowa State, like a Washington State, Iowa, Illinois. You don't really want to play them over because Eastern Carolina is not going to score in the game. My prediction, 40, at best 40-10, which they win by 30. They cover the 35. And they cover the over, and they cover the under, and they cover. So it'll probably be in the 40s, and East Carr maybe gets them. Maybe they don't. Maybe they get shut out. Could be 47-0. I mean, something like that. Michigan will be in the 40s. East Carolina maybe scores. That's college football. We'll talk more about the second half, next time. But again, this is a class, so I'm really trying to teach as well as explain to a good level. Let's go to the pros, and then we'll end with gold. Yeah. All right. No chats. I miss my chats. Kansas City 6.5, 53 against the Lions. Love the game over. Kansas City's an over team. They don't have a real strong defense. The Lions have no defense. I'm a little worried about the Lions this year with losing the running back that they lost. Excuse me while I scratch. So they lose a running back because they don't want to sign him because that's the Lions' MO. This is why the Lions aren't good. Look at Darius Slay. Look at Chris Spielman. Look at Lomas Brown. Look at anybody. They don't sign him to the second contract. They're cheap. They're not playing to win. They're playing to make money, and they're going to need money now because Ford's going to go broke on the electric car bullshit. They can't compete with China. Tesla can't compete with China. Nobody wants to buy a Ford in the first place. You're certainly not going to want to buy an electric Ford. So Ford's going to go out of business. They're going to go bankrupt, which is going to leave them selling the Lions. So maybe the Lions will start winning, but they won't sign a guy to the second contract. So as these linemen come up for their second contract, they'll let them go. They don't really have any defense. And Jared Goff, they'll never sign him. So Hooker will be the new quarterback after this year. And the Lions will probably ruin them. But they still don't have a defense. They didn't fix that. I don't know who their defensive coordinator isn't very good. So I did two things. One is quarterbacks, and second is coaches. So if we look at Detroit, Jared Goff and Campbell is the coach, and Mahomes and Reed for Kansas City, obviously. So we like Mahomes. We know he's going to win the game. We think this will be an over. Detroit can't stop anybody, but I'm concerned Detroit won't be an over this year because you've lost the running back who scored you 17 touchdowns in the red zone. He's gone. Are you still going to be able to score? Goff is not going to get you the points. They don't have receivers. They got that one guy from Alabama is nothing. So you're really going to be in trouble. So I don't know that Detroit's an over team. That's what they were last year. My bet is they won't be an over team. My bet is they won't win 5 games. Everybody here thinks, oh, they're going to, look how they ended. Yeah, but they lost the Carolina game, the one they needed for the playoff. Green Bay game they didn't need, so they won it. Had they needed it, they wouldn't have won it. And so it's very simple. When the pressure's on, they can't handle it. They fold up. Here, KC, yeah, they get the rings. One of my guys tells me, oh, the team that gets the rings, they're so preoccupied. Not Mahomes. He might get a little preoccupied, but this is the Lions they're playing. So I look for KC to for sure win the game and probably put up a big number. I'm a little worried, will the Lions score? Again, not signing their running back. Now they signed Montgomery, who was from Iowa State, who I like, but he didn't do much for the Bears. I don't know what he's going to really do for the Lions. He's not as good as the guy they let go, unfortunately. They don't have a running back. And then they let the Georgia running back go. They don't have running. What do you get when you get inside the 15-yard line? You're not going to score. He doesn't have receivers. They'll take the one guy away. And Goff's a choke anyway. So I think Detroit's going to be lucky to win 5 games. Atlanta, Carolina, both teams are E. Carolina with a little better defense than Atlanta, a little weaker defense. So they both score in the 20s. Looks like Carolina might give up 22 and Atlanta might give up 26. I don't know the quarterbacks. I assume Ritter for Atlanta, and I don't know who Carolina's will be. It won't be the Alabama guy. If it is, they're in big trouble. And Wright is the coach for Carolina, and Smith is the coach for Atlanta. Neither of them are any good. Frank Wright was a good backup quarterback. That's his claim to fame, is he put up 50 points for Maryland against my Miami of Florida team. So I don't really like him, but I don't know. Maybe he's a little more offensive, but he doesn't have a quarterback. He doesn't have receivers. Their defense is okay, but will he run enough to play to his strength, the defense? See, this is the whole idea of coaching. You play to your strength. In other words, if I have a great defense, a.k.a. San Francisco, a.k.a. Philadelphia, a.k.a. Baltimore, you play to it. Pittsburgh plays to it very well. They try to run the ball a lot and then field positioning you, and then here comes their tough defense. Baltimore doesn't understand that. They want to run Lamar like he's a good quarterback, and he can't hit the broadside of a barn. He throws way too many interceptions. And they're not playing to their strength with their defense. So when Lamar's out, they actually are a better team with a regular, solid quarterback. Dallas is like that too. When Prescott got hurt and they brought in Cooper Rush, there were much more short passes and running and played to Micah Parsons. And they won every game, and they were winning under every game until the Bear game. Then that was like a 48-45 game, but that was like they were playing to their defense. I think Prescott came back for that game. So in reality, you want to play to your strength, and Dallas's strength is not Prescott, it's Micah Parsons, but they won't play to it. And that's where some of these teams don't have a strength. The Giants. Now, the Jets have strong offense and strong defense, so they play to Aaron Rodgers and their defense, so they got you doubled, where some of these teams don't have an offense or a defense. So Atlanta and Carolina, we definitely like. I don't know what we like here. Let's say it's Ritter. I don't know who Carolina's quarterback is. Atlanta's going to run the ball, so I think it's an under because Carolina won't have a quarterback, so they're going to have to run a little bit more and play defense, where Atlanta isn't a great defense, but they're going to run the ball. So look for an Army-Navy type of game with a little bit more running than anything. So I think this game stays under. Houston and Baltimore. Houston with absolutely no offense and a weak defense. Baltimore with no offense and a strong defense. If they just keep the ball out of Lamar's hands and don't let him make too many interceptions. Houston's not going to score. They don't have a quarterback. If you think that C.J. Stroud's going to put up numbers like at Ohio State, look at Fields and look at all the other quarterbacks. Even Art Schlichter is probably their best one, but they don't play well in the pros because they can't read defenses. So look for Houston to get shut out here by this strong defense. And unless it's Mills might score a little bit, but I think Baltimore, they're laying too many points, 3.5. It's a much better under game, 45, go under 51. Cleveland, Cincinnati, Cincy 2.5, 47. We love Joe Burrow. So we got Burrow. Well, I didn't read so Houston, I don't know. It's either Mills or Stroud with Ryans, the coach. He sucks. And then Baltimore's got Jackson and Harbaugh sucks. His decision-making is horrible. So, we got so many weak coaches here. So Burrow with Taylor, the coach, guy out of Nebraska, never heard of. It's all Joe Burrow. They need a better coach. And then it's Watson and Stefanski for Cleveland. Watson's terrible. You can't be out 2 years and play professional football or professional golf or professional bowling. You can't sit out 2 years and come back, especially football, especially going to a different team and the timing's off. You don't know your receivers. You don't know your playbook. He's there for the money. I don't see it. So I think the key to the game is Cleveland's got a weak defense. Cincinnati's got Joe Burrow. So Joe Burrow wins. You're laying 2.5. You get 3.5 there. That's the only way I can play this game. It's just Cincinnati's strong defensive team, and Cleveland, I don't see Watson doing anything. Jacksonville and Indy. Jacksonville laying 444. Trevor Lawrence with Peterson in Indy. You're going to have Richardson, really, and Steichen. So I don't know who the quarterback for Indy. If it's Richardson, they'll get killed. They'll probably have the first pick in the draft next year, them or the Lions or Houston. Take your pick. Because Indy plays Houston twice a year, figure they'll each win the one game at home. And that'll be about it. And then you'll get Detroit will win 3 or 4. So those will be your 3 bottom feeders. Jacksonville, I can't trust Trevor Lawrence on the road. They're both weak defenses. But Indy's not going to score in this game with Richardson, and I don't know who their quarterback is. So we'll wait and see the quarterback, but it'll probably be Jacksonville's an over. Jacksonville maybe, but I can't play Jacksonville on the road as a favorite. Although Indy could be that bad. Minnesota, Tampa. Minnesota, Kirk Cousins with O'Connell as the coach. Tampa Bay, I'm hoping that they use Trask from Florida, and Bowles, the worst coach in the league. If it is Trask, I like Minnesota here because Trask will have to get his feet wet. Minnesota, they still have Jefferson, so we give the edge to Minnesota to Jefferson. Tampa Bay's in disarray with a bad coach. So I can't imagine Minnesota losing at home week 1. They still have Cousins and Jefferson. New Orleans and Tennessee. New Orleans laying 442. Tennessee, I'm not sure the quarterback because they don't have their guy, which I can't think of the name. And Mike Vrabel, who I do like, he's probably the best coach, one of the best coaches in the league, against Allen, who I think is a D coach. They do have Carr. So Carr will help them. I like the game under because I think Tennessee just plays defense and, plays to their strength. And New Orleans really isn't going to light them up. Probably a 20-3 game or something like that. So I like this game under. Frisco and Pitt. Frisco laying 342.5. Should be Brock Purdy and Shanahan against Pickett and Tomlin for Pittsburgh. Brock Purdy is much better quarterback than Pickett. Shanahan and Tomlin, both good quarterbacks. Shanahan blew 2 Super Bowls, had 10-point leads, and Atlanta against New England, and then we knew what they did with the Niners against Kansas City. So he can hold leads. He doesn't understand play calling. He's throwing passes up 10 points late in the game when you're trying to run the clock, and he can't handle that little thing. Jesus. So Frisco is the A team, strong, best defense in the league. Pitt, top 3-4 defense. There's not going to be a lot of points here. This will be a lot of scoring. The only way you get a lot of points is turnovers, but otherwise, I think you're looking at 13-3 here. I mean, this will be a very strong under game. Arizona and Washington. Arizona, I don't know what they are. They have a weak defense and no quarterback. I don't know who the quarterback's going to be. Washington, an under team last year, and I don't know who their quarterback is. You get Gannon for Arizona. He's an E, and you get Rivera for Washington. He's a C. Too bad. You're going to have 2 bad quarterbacks and 2 bad coaches in this game. I look for the game under. I don't know where you're getting points. You need quarterbacks to score, and you don't have a quarterback on the field. Arizona's got a weak defense, but Washington's is pretty good. So Washington can win 20-0, depending on who their quarterback is. Green Bay and the Bears. The Bears are favored by 1.5, 44.5. We got Love and LaFleur against Fields and Borflus. Whoever the fuck Borflus or Borflus. I guess it's Borflus. I gave him an E because he's a terrible coach. But so you got LaFleur, who knows? It's all Rodgers. Rodgers ran the team. LaFleur got in the way. Love, he's not very good. He was good the third year at Utah State, and then he sucked the 4th year. So if he's in the right offense, he might be good. If he's in the wrong offense, he sucks. What offense is he in is the question. I like, I think the game's even. I think it's an over. Green Bay, Chicago plays over with Fields. He might complete 5 passes, but he runs for 200 yards and 4 touchdowns. Green Bay with Love should be able to score, but he'll have a lot of turnovers. This will be turnover plague, but neither defense is any good. So I think 44 go over 38. I think it's a joke. I think that's halftime. I think this game will be 20-14 at half, and then should end in the 30s. So it should be a 60-point game. Just because Fields seems to get points, but they can't play defense in Green Bay, I don't know what Love's going to give us. I think he'll be able to move on field. Now, if he's playing Frisco, Philly, Pittsburgh, they're going to get shut out. But against this defense, I think they can. I think they can score. Oakland and Denver. Oakland an over team, Denver an under team. We got Russell Wilson with Sean Payton. Both of them are A's against Josh McDaniels, so I give a D, and I'm being kind there. And is Garoppolo playing? Is he injured? We'll see. Probably Garoppolo. Big edge to Russell Wilson. Big edge to Sean Payton. Denver laying 3.5. The better defense. Probably the better offense. The only guy you got to watch out for is Sincere McCormick, who played for UTSA, who's the best running back in the league, who didn't play last year. So if he starts this year, that'll be the key. If he doesn't, if they still go with Jacobs, Denver's going to kill him. Denver's only laying 3.5 at home. I'm plus 2.5. Russell Wilson will win the game if they need him. Peyton, I just think Denver's much the better team here. Oakland will be lucky to win 5 games. I don't know what anybody sees in Garoppolo. I don't see anything in Garoppolo that I would sign this guy. Again, I would take Trask from Florida, who's on Tampa. I would take the guy from who's on Florida, went to West Virginia a couple of years ago, who was on Carolina a little bit. I can't remember his name. I'd take that guy over Garoppolo. All right, Miami, San Diego, over versus over. We got Tua and McDaniel. McDaniel, I give a D. To Herbert and Staley. Staley, I give a D. So 2 terrible coaches. You got Tua, who's going to get a concussion. Herbert, who's a great quarterback. I like him. 2.5. I'm not trusting San Diego with this coach to hold the lead. Over under 49. That's what I love, is the over in this game. Miami's good for 28. San Diego's good for 31. You're going to be right in there. You'll be in the 50s, and we got 49 down to 43. Love this game over. McDaniels can coach offense a little. Staley doesn't know what he's doing out there. Terrible coach, but I do like whatchamacallit. I love their offensive coordinator, San Diego's. What's the kid from Boise? I can't think of his name right now. Philly and New England. Philly, the A team. Them and Frisco are the top two teams with the top two defenses. And look what Philly's done. They grabbed so many guys from the Georgia defense that gave up 10 points a game. I think they now have 6 defensive starters from Georgia. Lights out. And if I was them, I would get the Georgia defensive coordinator from Oregon, and I'd run the Georgia defense and watch me shut everybody out in the pros. I don't think there's too many people in the NFC that can do anything to them anyway, except for Mahomes and Burrow and Rodgers. I don't know who's gonna hurt Philly. Prescott can't. The Giants don't have a quarterback. Washington doesn't have a quarterback. Maybe Purdy, and then Seattle, okay, and nobody. Detroit, Kirk Cousins, he'll get eaten up. Love, forget it. Fields, forget it. So there's not a whole lot of quarterbacks in the NFC. So Philly's going to go crazy. Great defense. New England, we know Belichick knows how to coach defense. The problem is everybody thinks the defensive coordinator knows what he's doing. They don't realize Belichick is the defensive coordinator. He's running his defense. He's the defensive coordinator. That's why you can't sign any of his defensive coordinators to be your head coach, because you're not going to get anything. So we got Hurts and Sirianni for Philly. Hurts is okay. Sirianni, I don't know. And New England has Jones and Belichick. Jones sucks. Two bad quarterbacks here. Belichick gets too much credit because it was all Brady. And you've got and Sirianni, I have no idea. He choked bad in the Super Bowl. Had no idea how to handle Mahomes with that defense. So, pretty even coaching. I love the under here, 46.5. Go under 52.5. New England's not going to score in the games. They get shut out, but New England's got a good defense. Philly will run those little 4th and 1 pushes, which it's insulting. But that's where I see it. So under 52.5, I like that. That's the best way. That's the strength that I'm talking about. You're betting the strength, which is Philadelphia and New England, right? So you're betting Philly strength defense. You're betting New England strength defense. The quarterbacks are okay. Hurts is not great, and New England will take away their receivers. So. Can they run the ball? I know they lost one of the running backs. So they'll be a stronger defensive team, but will the coach understand to coach to the defense? I doubt it. And New England has no offense, so they got to, the only way we lose the under is if New England turns the ball over 5 times for strip sacks and pick sixes, which I can easily see happening to New England because Jones is so bad. The Rams in Seattle. The Rams are even. Seattle's an over. We got Stafford, I believe, playing, and McVay. McVay I give an A to against Smith and Coach Pete. I give Coach Pete an A, and Smith like probably a B. He's a good quarterback, good receivers, good running back, great draft, some good defense. I look for Seattle to move from an over team to a B team, maybe an A team this year. The Rams, I like Seattle. Is Cooper Kupp back? Is Aaron Donald playing? Is Stafford playing? So if those 3 play, then I'm going to probably lean towards LA plus 11.5. If Aaron Donald's out and Stafford and Kupp play, I'll go over. But I think Seattle, they've shored up their defense a little bit, and they got a great offense. So although I don't trust the guy from Ohio State, the receiver, is any good. because he didn't play in the old Michigan game. He didn't play in the championship game. Oh, I'm hurt. Well, this is the NFL, so I bet that guy doesn't play 3 games. Because he's a baby, basically. He doesn't, it's football. You get out there, how he could not play in the championship game or against Michigan is just ridiculous. Dallas and the Giants. Dallas an A team. The Giants is an E team. Again, Prescott sucks. McCarthy sucks. Giants, Jones, and the ball both suck. Neither of the quarterback can really throw very well. And then Dallas should rely on their defense, but McCarthy's not that smart. And the Giants, they don't really have that strong of a defense. So they're just relying on Barkley and then a little bit of Jones running the ball, not passing or short passes. So I think this is a close game in New York. I don't think Dallas blows them out. I kind of like it over, I think, but I don't know. It's a tough one to call because really there's not a lot of defense on the field except for Micah Parsons. So I'm not sure what to do there, but I don't trust Dallas laying 3 with Prescott. Giants could easily win this game. And last but not least, Buffalo 247 over the Jets, Jets. Buffalo was an A team last year, but their defense went over. The Jets were an under team, but this is last year. My guess is Buffalo will be a over team unless Von Miller comes back. I mean, they don't have a defense and they'll score. And the Jets will be an A team because with Rodgers and the receivers to go with that defense, they're much the better team. Allen and McDermott, I give a C to, and the Jets, Rodgers and Salah, I give A's to. So the better team here is the Jets. They're at home and they're the dog. I like the Jets all day. You've got to bet the better defense, and you can't tell me Buffalo's got the better defense. And you can't tell me Buffalo's got the better coach. McDermott fucked up against Kansas City 2 years ago. Last year, Cincinnati killed him. And he lost a few other games. So he's not all there in the big games, and this is a big game. And the Jets played them close twice last year without a quarterback. Their defense shut down Buffalo. Now you add Rodgers and an offense and the Green Bay offense with the Green Bay receivers. Forget about it. This is Jets should win the game by 10 points. Everybody's so sold on Allen. He's not that good. You blitz him, he doesn't know what he's doing, and they run him way too much. That's why there's running backs. You don't see Rodgers and Brady run. Mahomes very rarely, and Burrow very rarely. So if they kind of scramble, it's 3rd and 5, and they go back to pass, and Burrow wants to hit Chase, Mahomes wants to hit Kelsey. That's where they're going. They're not trying to run it. Lamar Jackson tries to run it. That's the difference. I can throw it for 20 yards to Kelsey or 20 yards to Chase. He breaks the tackle for a touchdown, and Jackson's running around for his life trying to get a first down. That's the difference. He doesn't, it's like playing chess and not using your rooks and your bishops. That's Jackson. And Mahomes and Burrow are using their bishops and their rooks. That's basically the difference as far as I can explain it. You've got quarterback, running quarterbacks don't use the whole chessboard. And how are you going to win with that? Where the Mahomes and the Bradys and the Rodgers and the Montanas and the Drew Brees used the whole board. They used all the receivers. They used the backs out of the back. How many times did Montana hit Roger Craig and then he hits Dwight Clark with the big catch? He didn't run there. And the catch, Montana didn't run. He threw the ball. He bought time and threw it to Clark. Great play. That's what you do. You ever in life going to see Lamar Jackson do that? He wouldn't even know to look downfield. He looks to run. He's not using the whole chessboard. That's probably the best way I can explain it. Maybe it's Vince Young was my explanation yesterday, where he was great at college and he got into the pros and he sucked. So that's what it is. So let me play Alistair McLeod. Only I'm going to play minute 41.
One of the biggest fitness myths is when people say carbs make you fat. Carbs don't make you fat.
Oh, bullshit.
We're privileged to be at a point where we're living through what the history books will look back as an event where the weaponization of physical gold took a whole new turn.
Okay, I'm only going to play 2 minutes. I know I played a lot, and I apologize if I played too much yesterday, but it's very important information, and nobody understands it, right? What do I preach is that people, you got to know who you can trust. So when you listen to people, the question is, how do I trust? So you hear something and you say, oh, that, the guy from, Janet Yellen said something, or Jamie Dimon says that. So you believe them. Why do you believe them? They're fucking liars. They don't know what they're talking about. And that's the point. You can believe me because I can take the under in the Frisco Pit game and it goes under and you go, yeah, he told me and it came through. He's honest, right? So you can see my results in football and in baseball. Gold, we're waiting to go up, but that's why I say, hey, when's it going? Like it's a game, right? Oh, when's it going up? Well, they play Tuesday. The Bricks are playing the U.S. and England Tuesday at 1, so we'll have a final Tuesday at 4. I mean, that's unfortunately not the way it works, but this is what happens. So let me play you about 3 minutes here of Andrew Maguire talking a critical point.
And obviously, they employ agents to control the price of gold because it competes against the dollar. But they don't understand gold. And having looked at this before, we've looked at this. But given the BRICS Plus and applying members control the lion's share of commodity trade, when assessing if there's sufficient liquidity to drive the adoption of tokenized gold, there's only one only has to look at the aggregated size of these sectors and who controls the lion's share of supply and consumption of these globally consumed commodities. And these hard commodities are largely in the control of Russia, China, the BRICS, SCO members, including Saudi Arabia, along with the deemed friendly countries. Now, to provide an idea of the potential scale of this global market, the global oil and gas market is worth 7,000 billion per annum. I'm putting that in billions. Add in the 5,000 billion per annum of commodity and energy sectors, then you've got to see the estimate of the de-dollarization potential becomes much, much clearer. And adopting gold as a benchmark to create a basket of gold-backed currencies will enable a diversification of reserve holdings, allowing these largely exporting emerging markets in many instances to gradually opt out of the increasingly weaponized SWIFT payment system. An alternative gold-backed currency becomes the only sustainable currency to benchmark a commodity price to facilitate the non-dollar trades between nations. And as the gold for the commodity benchmark eats into the unipolar dollar-centric price commodity market, it will accordingly raise the price of dollar-denominated gold. It has to. And we're in close contact with our well-connected first-tier liquidity providers, our Russian refinery contacts, to better assess how this will translate into a real physical demand, supply-demand price, and on what timescale. But what is clear is that the inherent Western cartel paper gold derivative game is ultimately going to explode. Nobody wants or expects the dollar to immediately collapse. No one wants it or expects it to. Clearly, there's a lot of vested interest that it cannot be unwound in a hurry. But as this process evolves, derivative gold will be discarded and real physical gold price will emerge. And since Russia started tokenizing...
So I wanted you to hear that because that's what everybody asked me. When will COMEX blow up? And this is why I keep saying bricks, and I keep saying a gold-backed currency. This is what will make COMEX disappear, and will have a physical price, a la the Montana rookie card and the Jim Brown card I showed you, and my Mantle card. I showed you. Here's a price on the Mantle card I saw yesterday. I looked it up and I said, well, does it have a price? And this is what I was able to see. So here's a PSA 9 Mantle card that I showed you that I either have a 9 or a 10. $10,000. Mine's a minimum of a 9. It could be a 10. It's very centered, very sharp corners, really nice looking card. Could get a 10. So here's what I mean. I spent $100, maybe $150 on it because it was a 68 in mint condition. And there you go. PSA 9. This is the market value, $10,808. And that's my point. When you go to the show, see, when you spend $100 on it or $150 I spent on it, I'm not in my wildest dreams thinking it's going to be worth 10 grand. I'm not even buying it for that. I'm buying it as a collectible. I'm a collector. I collect sports cards. I collect assets, sports cards, gold and silver. I'm collecting them. Now, I'm not, because I know what I've learned is assets will go up in value. That's what I'm doing with the Mantle card and the Montana rookie and the Walter Payton rookie, Earl Campbell rookie. I'm buying them as I want them in my collection. I want the Payton rookie. I want the Montana and the Rice rookie, the Elway and the Marino rookie, Emmett and Barry rookies, Michael Irvin. So I've got them in the collection, but I didn't buy them in the Brady rookies. I didn't buy them that they're going to go up so much in value more than I wanted in my collection. So when I buy gold, theoretically, I'm buying an asset. It's a little bit different because it is money, but I'm really buying it to add to my collection. And that's what Bobby does too. Like Bobby is collecting silver. So he I saw the kangaroo and I bought the Philharmonic, and here's the I want to say the Cougar ran, and here's the Eagle, and here's the Buffalo. So he's collecting the silver first and foremost. So he's getting out of dollars. So you're getting out of this. You're getting out of that to get into real assets. So whenever you spend fake money and you buy an asset, you're trading the money to get out of the money and into the asset. The assets will go up, but that's dependent on demand. So the Mantle card, of course, the Montana rookie, of course. If I got Joe Smith, probably won't go up. The Barry Bonds, who I would have thought would have went up with 780 home runs. Oh, he did steroids, so we don't like him? Like, what the fuck is that? Pete Rose, why isn't he in the Hall of Fame? He had 4,000 hits. Oh, because he bet on baseball. So what, he bet on Cincinnati? I don't get how stupid Pete Rose was. Just call me up and say, Howard, bet Cincinnati for me, and then I make the bets. And that's it. We meet in Vegas and I pay or collect. That's it. That's all it is. There's no reason to make your bets on your own. What the fuck are you doing? But these guys they're not smart. They're athletes. No offense, Bobby. That's the problem with them. Why would you bet in your own name and then you get caught? What the fuck are you doing? So, but I got some early Pete Rose cards, 65s and I think 68s. They're not worth what they should be. That's the unfortunate part. Mark McGwire and Barry Bonds and Sosa don't have the value, Roger Clemens, that they should have. Ripken does, and Ken Griffey, stuff like that. But that's what you're doing with that. And so what you're doing is getting out of paper into assets. And then we're buying gold really to get out of paper. But then we realize where we didn't realize the Montana, if it's a PSA 10 is going to 100,000, we didn't realize that. That wasn't part of the formula. However, when we're buying gold and silver and getting out of dollars, now that becomes part of the formula. Now we're expecting the price to go up. Now it becomes, when's it going up? We never asked that question with the Montana. With this Mickey Mantle card, I never asked the question. That's a PSA 9 for 10,000. Mine's probably there. But I never asked the question. I'm buying it. When's it going to go to 10,000? I'm pleasantly surprised going on eBay, seeing it for 10 grand, going, fuck, it's 10 grand. So, and if it's a 10, you're going to add a 0 to it. Then it'll be 100 grand if you can find it. So that's the difference. Gold, we know is going to go up because we know it's been price fixed, where the Mantle card and the Montana card have not been price fixed. So they're not there. They're not fixed. So we're not expecting them to go up because they've been price fixed. We are expecting them to go up. If like I showed you, I bought it ungraded. I'm expecting it to go like the Montana. At that point, there were no graded cards when I bought the Montana rookie. So I didn't expect it to go up much. That wasn't why I was buying it. Now, because there's graded cards, I am expecting that to go up because there is graded cards. And that's the whole key to it. If it is a PSA 10, I'm expecting Mantle or Montana. Well, I know what Montana will be 100,000. The Jim Brown card, I got the 59. That's a 10. That's worth a ton. And the Mantle card, if it comes back at 10, is worth a ton. If it comes back at 9, it's worth 10 grand. And that's about the Montana. The Montana 9 is probably worth about 10 grand also, where the 10s are worth 100 grand. So there's a big difference, 9 and 10, for some reason. You wouldn't think it'd be that big a difference. There must be a lot more 9s graded than 10s, obviously. And people demand the 10 more than the 9. But that's the difference, is the baseball cards, football cards are not being held down in price. It's free. It's a free market. It's whatever it is. And that's the difference. But gold and silver is not a free market. It's being held down. And that's why the question is, well, why should I buy it? When's it going to go up? And that's all I can say. That's why I'm showing you. Now it's bricks. COMEX will be destroyed. Bricks is going to save it's going to allow the free market of gold and silver to go. And so if you live in the U.S., so I'm running around like a chicken with my head cut off going, buy gold, buy gold, buy gold. Here's bricks. Da-da-da-da. The guy at my barbecue place, well, why should I buy it? It hasn't gone up. And you're like, like because of bricks. So you try to establish to the people and say, look, you're in America. You're going to get fucked if you don't have gold, because this is going to 0. So if you're in this, it's going to 0. You're fucked. But if you have gold, gold's going to go through the roof. Gold will be the $100,000 Montana card. So if I was telling you way back, buy the Montana 10, well, it's $1,000. It's going to be 100. Buy it. You maybe you would have bought it. But when I'm telling you gold's going to go up, you're saying, well, it hasn't. And that's why I'm showing you Andrew McGuire, because he's saying, okay, this is what's going to blow it up is bricks. Gold-backed currency, they've announced it. So now it's all set. There's no risk. We know it's going to go up. And therefore, go buy it, because it's going to go through the roof because of COMEX blowing up. They won't be able to hold the price down. So, we're getting out of this before that's why I use Titanic. It's hit the iceberg. It's going to 0. It's already at like 2 cents. So we know this is going out. And then, so what do I do is the question. Well, you buy gold and silver. You don't buy stocks. You don't buy bonds. You don't buy Bitcoin. Bitcoin is nothing. It's not real. And then and stocks are in dollars. And if the economy goes, well, what's Microsoft going to be? They're not going to make profit. So you're going to have a collapse. They'll come out with new currency. So maybe Microsoft will keep value. I mean, they will keep some value, but they're going to get crushed because as people need money, because this is zero and you got 1,000 shares of Microsoft, you're going to sell some because you're going to need money to eat and pay rent and, feed the kids and, dress the kids. So you're going to need money. So that's why you sell your house, you sell your stocks. But if you have gold, then you go buy the house with the ounce of gold because the guy needs the money to feed his kids. You're not being mean. Actually, you're helping him because you're giving him an out because he doesn't know what to charge for the house. So I got a $500,000 house, but all of a sudden this is zero. What's my house worth? Don't know. They'll come out with a new currency. Maybe they revalue it at 200,000. But I got gold, and gold is real money that nobody can zero out on you. They can't inflate it, so it's a PSA 10 of money, and that's why you go to gold. That's why I keep buying it because I know it's a PSA 10 Montana, and I know it's worth $100,000, and I'm buying it for $2 million. That's why. So it all fits in now. So now we see BRICS coming, gold backs currency. The price of gold has to go up for the currency. The demand for gold will go up because the dollar is going to go away because nobody's going to want the dollar. So if you're in you're at the grocery store and you go to the produce and there's an ounce of gold and there's a banana. What are you going to buy? You're going to buy the ounce. Well, let's say there's dollars in gold. Well, what are you going to buy? You're going to buy gold every time because gold's the asset that won't lose value and the dollar is the asset that will lose value. So it's just a normal function. You're going to buy the gold. So if I'm one of these BRICS countries and others, 40 of them, I have a choice of buying a dollar backed by gold or a US dollar that's being inflated heavily. I'm buying the gold. And now the US is lying to everybody saying, oh, look, wait, no, inflation's down to 3%. Oh, wait a minute. Well, core inflation is still 5%. And if we include food and energy, it's still 15%. But they're going to lie to everybody. So they'll say, oh, well, okay, the US dollar is really not being inflated. I'll buy it. Yeah, okay. There's some oceanfront property here in Detroit I want to sell you. I can't tell you the ocean because we don't have an ocean here, but I'm going to sell you the property. That's how stupid it is. So you're buying the gold to get out of the dollar, but it's the Montana card. It's going to 100 once it hits free market, like the Montana did. Like the Mantle I showed you is 10,000. That's a 9. Okay, let's see if we can even find the Montana rookie card as a 9. So we go 1981. Joe Montana PSA 9. And let's go we can start with open. So these are only getting $2,000. This is really weird. $3,000, $2,000, but there's a lot of 9s. So now let's switch it to a 10. Oh, this might be because they're 2002s. See, here's where you fuck up, right? The other card's 100,000. This idiot, it's a PSA 8. Sorry, forget it. Yeah, so it's still 99,000, and here's a new one at 89.9. See how the market works? This guy's willing to take 90,000. The other guy wants 99 for the PSA 10. And here's 125. So it's weird that the nines are only getting 2,000. Let me try that again. They might have been the reprints. I can't imagine they're, yeah, nines 24.75. It doesn't make sense. 22.50. Here's one that's not even graded. The guy wants $1,000 ungraded, but here's a mint 9, 2,500. So look at the difference between the 9 and the 10, and then look at the mantle card. The 9's 10,000. What do you think the 10's going to go for? A couple $100,000, easy. So I'm praying I got a 10 there with the mantle. The Montana, I got to have a 10. Otherwise, look at the difference. A 9, 2,500. And they're all about 2,500, but the 10's fucking 100. There's a 90, 100, and a 125. That's what the market is. So the market is not static; it's constant. That's why you cannot have communism, socialism, or have the government run the market, Keynesian, or all these MNT guys. The only economics to study is Austrian because it talks about the individual and the free market. That's reality. That's the market. So you can see there's 3 different Montana rookie cards, PSA 10, 90, 100, 125. But they're all the same market. It's just there's different people in the market. The government would put it up at $100,000 and say, this is it. It's $100,000 if you want it. They wouldn't have the flexibility. But if you want to pay 90 for it, you're able to pay 90 for it. So that's the difference. And that's what's missing in gold is that flexibility. But we know either way, if I had $100,000, would I buy the Montana card? I would buy the gold knowing now that BRICS is going to do it and the gold price is going to go up and they're going to kill COMEX because I just showed you that. Because that hasn't gone up yet. The Montana card, okay, I buy it. Let's say I buy the one for 90,000. So I got one card for 90. Where's it going? Okay, the dollar goes out and gold goes up. Maybe 1 ounce of gold buys it. Okay, but if I have the gold at 2,000 and 1 ounce of gold is going to buy me a $100,000 Montana card, that means gold's going up to 100,000. Gold's been suppressed. That's why it's the best investment you can make. There's no risk. It can't go to zero. It can't go out like everything here. Stocks, bonds, and the dollar and your bank account can go to zero. Gold can't. So there's no risk of gold. And the upside is huge. $2,000 is going to turn into at least 50. Where else can you get that upside with no downside? You can't. But nobody understands or looks at it like that. Nobody's understanding gold as a zero risk investment. Nobody understands this as it's going to zero. This is the part that cracks me up the most. People don't even understand that this is going to zero. They can't comprehend it. And then here comes the idiots, the government going, oh yeah, inflation's all set. And then some Keynesian guy comes on, oh no, it's a soft landing. It's going to be 3% inflation. It's all set. It doesn't work like that. You can't stop inflation because they're still printing money. That's the point. And their debt's $35 trillion now. That matters. People don't think that matters because it's been around, but it matters. You can't just keep it. And then with the gold-backed currency, who are you going to buy? Everybody's going to buy the gold-backed currency. That's why Russia and China couldn't come out with their own currency, because Russia and China, would you trust a Russian currency or a Chinese currency? They're both inflated to zero. China's going out. Russia's already gone out. They've already come up with a new one, and that's 90-1 to the U.S. So you already have all that. You have no risk here. So that's why it's the perfect thing. Now, if you buy the Montana rookie card for $100,000, you don't have risk there. That card's not going down, right? Now, you might have people selling it because they need money. I would rather be in that than a house, because if you got the 100 grand for it, I'm a happy camper. But do you have 400 or 500 for a house? And then now it's 8%, 9%. And if you don't have really great credit, 9 or 10% on a house, the car loans, after talking to my buddies at Toyota, it's $1,000 a month payment. Who has $1,000 a month for a car? I just paid $4 something for my car. I got a 6-year loan. I paid it off in 3 years, but it was I had to go out 6 years to get it a reasonable amount. So I quickly paid it off because I could smell what was coming. So your interest rates are going up, but if the dollar goes out, you probably won't owe your mortgage or your credit cards because they won't know what to charge you because it's based on this dollar. And if this dollar isn't there anymore, what do I owe on my credit cards? Well, I owe 5,000 of these. Well, what is that? Now it's going to be curious what our paychecks are going to look like. If the dollar goes out, they'll come out with new dollars and they're, so if you're making $30 an hour now, okay, wait, but now I'm not. What are you going to pay me now? Because the businesses aren't going to go out. They still need employees. They're still running the economy. And that's the scary part is you hope it doesn't get to the point where there is no more economy. So you're fucking the dollar up, but you've got to come out with a new medium of exchange. That's critical. You have to have a new dollar. That's what I'm saying. You're not going to be bartering. If it goes to barter, we're all dead. Or we're all in Switzerland. Switzerland or Puerto Rico. So they'll come out with a new dollar because you still need to go to the grocery store, go to dinner, get paid, put gas in your car. You still must have this. You must have some medium of exchange. And that'll be the key. So that's why you buy the gold. But the difference is the Montana's at market and the gold's not. And that's what I'm trying to tell you. And that's what I showed you with Andrew McGuire is the gold it's being kept down by COMEX and it's about to be blown up. Now we'll see what really happens with the price. And there's more demand for gold than there is a PSA 10 Montana rookie. I guarantee it. Even the Brady rookies, they're all 50, 60 grand. There's one that's $1 million. The one I got, I'm guessing 80 to 90,000. And again, that's the key to it. But that's really what you're looking at. So that's why you get out of the dollar. But that's why I showed you that COMEX will be blown up. That will allow. So right now the balloons held on the ground. The price won't go up. But once they kill COMEX, then gold rises to where the demand is, and it'll easily be 50 to 100,000 an ounce. Silver will be in the neighborhood of 10% of it. So if gold hits 50, silver hits 5. You see, people look at what it's at now. Well, it's never been over 50. It's because it's been suppressed. Once you let silver run, you're looking at $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 an ounce silver. Once you let it run at free market, because it's 1/10 of gold, and once gold runs to free market, it's a hell of a lot more than 2,000. And people, it's at the record. They're a bunch of idiots. Anybody that tells you gold's at the record at 2,060 or whatever the hell it is, or 2,100, they're a bunch of idiots. They don't know what they're talking. That's price fixed. That's like watching a fixed football game, and then what are you going to take out of it? Well, New England didn't look good today. Yeah, because the game was fixed. It's like, hello. So, I think Rodgers fixed some games last year or 2 years ago where he threw like 4 interceptions in the Detroit game. Everybody knew it was fixed. And what do you take out of it? You can't say Rodgers sucks. You just say, the game was fixed, and you don't count it. You just say, well, it was fixed. Just like that Minnesota-New Orleans interference call that wasn't called, and the Steeler, Cincinnati, or whoever they were playing, they kept lateraling the ball into the end zone. The other team fell on it, and all of a sudden you lost the under. Yeah, that was fixed. So we do see it, and we see what happened, but we kind of ignore it going, well, that's a one-off. But with gold, it's fixed. With silver, it's fixed. So we're going to get rid of that. Anyway, the site's working, www.teaserking.com. Now, if you want to pay a payment, so if you want to buy the year for $750, email me. I know Nick's got my email, but other people, everybody who's bought from me has my email because you get it, and questions are certainly asked, and I give advice. That's the other benefit. If you're with me, then you go, who do you like in the Clemson Duke game? And it might not be a pick, but I would give you my opinion, which is very valuable. Theoretically, I could pick every game like I did, but I can't bet every game. There's just too many. So the best way to bet is you bet the 26th game, the Notre Dame, and then you bet the next day and you press it, and then you bet so you keep, it's with the bowl games, it's really good. You bet the early ones, and then you're waiting for that Georgia game, and you're waiting for TCU, Michigan, and you're just waiting on these. But anyway, that's what's happening. Now, next year, the bowl game should be much better. Last year it sucked because all of a sudden the players were sitting out. Well, if you got 12 teams in the playoffs, you got 12 teams that are going to play, that you don't have to worry about sitting out players. Now it's a playoff. So it's some of the lesser ones, but nobody at the Air Force or Army, Navy or Arkansas State or New Mexico State is sitting out a bowl game. They're happy to be there. It's the crybabies at Ohio State and Michigan who sit out the bowl games. Anyway, so that's our take. Football, gold. Poker we talked about last night, where be wary of the bat, learn the player, observe. Everything's observation. Gold should be going through the roof soon. It'll start going. And then Bricks has the thing in August at Johannesburg. And then just keep buying it low. You're buying the Montana card at $5,000, and you can see it ends up at 100. So, and once the money gets sorted out in the gold, it's going to really fly because it'll be an asset. And now, I'm buying my gold, and then 1 ounce of gold is going to buy the card. Yeah, I'll buy the card. So the key will be to trade in my silver. I got about 600 ounces of it now. So it's trade in the 20 pack for 2 ounces of gold, and then take the ounce of gold and buy a house, take an ounce of gold and buy a Mercedes, take an ounce of gold, buy a Mantle card, a Montana card, whatever you like. And then sell your cards, sell my Montana card for an ounce of gold, or any of those type of cards. Walter Payton, although those I really would have a hard time parting. I don't think I can sell my Montana, my Rice, my Walter Payton rookie, my Mantle, Bobby Orr. Those would be hard cards to sell, unless I really, really got desperate. But I got all the gold right now, which is going to keep me fine. And then I got, and I'm working still. So I'm kind of being leery. Like, I don't know how much longer I'm going to work because of the recession that's coming. Oh, all of a sudden we're not having a recession either. So I look at the names of these people saying it, and they're all Keynesians, and they're all just selling bullshit. And that's why I hope you don't believe it, that the recession's over, the inflation's over. So again, inflation's printing the money, period. Prices are a reaction to it, but are not inflation. So prices go up or down, it's based on the free market, me and you. If the Montana card goes down, it's the market bidding it. If it goes up, the market's bidding it. It's not anything to do with inflation. Prices are not inflation. You can't measure inflation. Probably the only way is by interest rates. So if your mortgage goes up, or your car payment, your car rate goes up, that's the inflation. That's what it is. And then a recession is the slowing of the economy. As things get more expensive, you buy less, right? So if this is $20, I might buy 2 bottles. If this is $100, I might not even buy 1 bottle. It depends what I can. Like I say, when I go to the meat store today and I want to buy my ribs, they're $12.99 or $12.50. I'm buying them. If they're $15, I'm not. The $20 New York strips, I'm not buying. I'll look for a $10 Delmonico or a $10 steak or something. I mean, so that's really what you're doing. Is you're getting out of one for the, you're substituting. I'm not going to buy the New York strip, whatever the $20 steak is, I'm going to look for the $10 steak. And I noticed this week, I went there a couple times to my meat grocery store, and they were 15, 16, 17. I didn't see many 10s, but I'm seeing them jump up to 15, 16, 17. Now, but the question does come, are people buying it? Because if people don't buy it, they go on sale back down to what the market, it's always, if we understand nothing else, that this is the market. So $10 steaks, you make your steaks 15 and we're at 10, we're not buying it. They got to lower the price to market. So if you understand that, you don't pay more for it. You always substitute for other meat, and then you wait for like my ribs, right? It went from $10, I bought them. Went to 15, I didn't buy them. I bought $10 steaks. Now the ribs are down to 12. Now I'm starting to buy them again. Okay, it's a little bit more than the 10, but it's a lot cheaper than the 15. So I can, I don't buy them as often, but I will buy them at the 10. Now, if I go today and they're $10, I might buy 10 of them. I might buy a lot of them and put them in the freezer because I know I like them, but it's just a matter of time. So we will see. Anyway, off to the pool, off to Chinese. Any questions or comments, please let me know. Teaserking is up and ready to go. So www.teaserking.com. You can check my history. You can check my purchase picks page to see what it costs. Again, if you want to buy the whole kit and caboodle, it's $5.99 for all the pros for every week through the Super Bowl. Every game I would put out that's a pro game. Same thing in college, $5.99. But if you want every game from beginning to end through the Super Bowl, through the bowls, through the playoffs, it's $750. So if you want, you can do 3 payments at $250. You want. You can email me to discuss deals because I am an Austrian economist. If you want, you want to buy the month, but 300 is a bit much for you. Yeah, we can probably do 250. Those are one-offs. Those are to help you. But basically, I'm smart enough, and I guess my Adam Smith says that's okay if you could negotiate with the customers. So I'd rather have you as a customer and we negotiate off $20, $30 than it's too expensive and you don't. But good luck finding competition for me. That'll be the tricky part. You say, well, he's a handicapper. We can go to Joe Blow. Good luck with that one because you're not going to get the quality skill set that I offer you. It's very hard to compete. To find somebody else that, I'll pay less. You pay less, you're going to lose a lot of money to save a few dollars. With me, and it's not that expensive, especially if you buy the year, you're talking 25 weeks for $750. I mean, it's like $30 a week or something. I mean, it's so cheap, it's ridiculous. But if you want to try, that's why I have the history up. So you can see what I picked and you got all my videos. You can see as I walk through the games, you kind of have an idea of my thought process and okay, let's load up on New Mexico State and they win and off you go. And so that's also what you can see. So you can go, yeah, the other guys aren't like this. I'm pretty much the gold standard in handicapping. There really isn't a lot of competition where you can run to, like, we're not all the same, and I show you that, just like reading gold and the gold prices and why you should get into gold. Good luck hearing that from somebody else. And the only people I know who do it are Aegon and Andrew McGuire and Alligator, and even them, they're pretty close. But that's good luck finding somebody like me out there to substitute. You're just not going to find it. It's just very rare. But I have that point of view of looking. Anyway, www.teaserking.com. You get my email if you have questions on the football. again, we're July 15th, so we got a good month. August 27th, we start college. The preseason, we're looking at who's the quarterback, the new coaches, and injuries. So we're like, who's going to be the quarterback for Tennessee? Is it Tannehill? Is it somebody else? What's going on? Watch for injuries. If Goff gets hurt, now you got Hendon Hooker. Well, this isn't Tennessee, so how will he play? On the Lions, will probably play like shit. But if you went to the 49ers or the Rams, he'd play. If he went to the Rams, he'd be a superstar. On the Lions, I'm not too sure because the Lions don't know how to develop crap. But anyway, so that's my look. Please feel free to contact me. Again, gold's about to go buy it. Even if you have 5-10 ounces, at 50,000 an ounce and you're paying 2,000 for it. If you buy 5 ounces, cost you 10,000. You go to 50,000 an ounce. Now you're at 250,000 for your 10. Pretty good investment with no risk. And then you won't assault. You won't have an assault on Wall Street. All right, everybody, enjoy your day. I will see you tomorrow about this time. Take care, everybody. All right, have a great day. Feel good. Not too much carbs. All right, take care. www.teaserking.com.